ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. Welcome to all of you. Today is Sunday and yesterday was supposed to be a retreat, and unfortunately due to snow conditions here we had to do it online. Today also there was a prayer meeting. We just concluded the Aarti of Sri Ramakrishna, the Aarti songs, all the three songs which we normally do in the shrines all over the world. And normally in all these study groups, the Aarti singing is followed by some reading from the Gospel and sometimes the Great Master, which are two important books, especially for devotees of the Ramakrishna order. The reason why we study gospel is it gives us satsang, a daily satsang with Sri Ramakrishna, taking us back to the period when he in Dakshineshwar sat with all the devotees, Dakshineshwar and other places like Balram Bosa's house, and shared so many wonderful ideas. But more importantly, for devotees, for those who consider Sri Ramakrishna to be their Ishta Devata, it is a kind of holy company. It is something known as, which he termed as Sadhu Sangha. So, when Master Masha went during his second meeting to Sri Ramakrishna, he gave four important ways. That is the reason why gospel is so important. He taught the way of sadhana, a universal approach to spiritual life, not based on any particular culture or geographical location, religion, ethnicity. No, he gave a universal method of worship through which you could worship your own Ishta, if you believe in God with form, or you can worship any conception of God which your religion or your faith teaches you to believe. But the other conditions which are essential for spiritual life, they are common to all. How you meditate, on whom you meditate, that choice, Vedanta and in fact the universal religion of Vedanta gives lot of choices to us. And Sri Ramakrishna was an ideal example. And his conversations, especially through the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, whatever is recorded by him, is more or less like a manual of spiritual life. But as I mentioned yesterday in my class, that most of these study groups, study circles, which insist on some reading of the gospel and also the three famous hymns which Siram Swami Vivekananda himself introduced, at least the first two. Sarva Mangala was added later on, but the Khandana Bhavabandhana, which is a composition of Swamiji himself, and Om Rim Ritam. They were sung practically right from the beginning. And it was Swami Vivekananda who introduced this daily Vesper service, especially in the evening. And it is played all over the world uniformly wherever groups are there. Sometimes the English translation is read, sometimes they even sing in English, and in some places I've also seen them singing in other languages like Spanish. But the songs don't change. There may be other singing, other songs that are sung after that, after the two hymns are sung. So there is a very nice book which you can get on the internet that is known as Two Hymns of Sri Ramakrishna. By two hymns, we mean the first two. Khandana Bhavabandhana and Om Rim Ritam. So that there is a lot of significance. We will not discuss about that today, since the topic is the importance of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And I would add the importance of the great master Sri Ramakrishna, composed by or written by Swami Sharadananji, because it is a biography which in English is known as hagiography. When you write a life of a prophet or a saint or some great spiritual personality, then every event that is enacted, every teaching, every incident that happens, which has been recorded, has to be taken, has to be given more importance than the incidents of a normal historical person. An historical person, many events are important in his life and in others' life, in the life of nations, but we call them biographies. And they are simply a collection or maybe a description of these wonderful incidents. Whereas what Sharadananji wrote, Swami Sharadanji wrote, is known as uh, Aldous Huxley in his introduction to the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. I mean, the translation, first translation of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna by Swami Nikhilananda in New York. He writes a foreword. Aldous Huxley was a famous writer and also a disciple of Swami Prabhavananda. So or maybe he was a disciple very close to our Vedanta movement, the Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement. So he writes, this is a incomparable, when no hagiography ever written on any great spiritual personality compares with that of the gospel. Though it is not a biography, he calls it a hagiography. Because hagiography means it's not only a biography or describing the events as it happened, but minutely recording every conversation that took place. And Master Mahashay was very an expert in that. He never missed a single detail as far as possible. And all the events that were recorded, except the last chapter, was recorded in his presence. So every every line that Thakur spoke was authentic and was authentically recorded. That is why when Holy Mother was asked, when he published a few conversations as leaflets, Swami Vivekananda and Holy Mother uh, gave their comments. So especially Holy Mother, she said, I feel as if it is Sri Ramakrishna who is speaking. It is his through his blessings that he has brought these things out through through you as the medium. You are the medium to bring out his immortal words, words that will save humanity. And she says, I feel as if the master himself is speaking. It is so accurate. So that is a great compliment. And another compliment was given by Swami Vivekananda, who says this task was reserved for you. You have hit Ramakrishna at the right point. That means you have exactly recorded exactly what he said and what he stood for. So it is not only a conversation or a recording of conversations of Sri Ramakrishna in different contexts, but also his biography or hagiography. So, Great Master can be a very interesting and useful companion book to be read either alternately. That would be a good idea to read Gospel on one weekend or maybe month end, whenever you meet, whenever the study circles, wherever they are, even uh, at home, there may be only few people, but there can be a small study circle in somebody's home. You need not have a bigger group. So, whether it is a small group or a big group, the best way to understand Sri Ramakrishna is to read these two source books, Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, and the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna alternately. This is just a suggestion, because if you read the life in connection with his teachings, or in, if you make it complementary, that is reading the life, which is also full of teachings. Because whenever Swami Shardanji wants to convey a particular point, he will obviously refer to some of the authentic conversations which Sri Ramakrishna had with his disciples in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, especially the first five volume edition. If you see the original edition, if you see, Master Mahashay has underlined more than some 100 so-called Mahavakyas of Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna. Some conversations, he felt these are great messages in one line, just like we have among all the Upanishadic literature, Mahavakyas, like four Mahavakyas. One is Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, and all those wonderful Mahavakyas are there, which express the sum and essence of what is there in the message of the Upanishads. Similarly, in the Gospel, Master Mahasaya also has singled out, and in the first edition, they were uh, published in bold letters. So unfortunately, it is not there in some of many of the later editions. But if you go to the original five-volume edition, you will find it there. But anyway, that was just to highlight certain messages which which Master Mahasaya or Mahendranath Gupta felt were Thakur's most important core messages. But everything that Thakur spoke, obviously, is full of meaning, full of implications. They have to be understood not only in the context to whom they were meant for. I mean, you see, there is a situation. The beauty of the gospel is Master Maharaj first describes the situation. What was the day? What tithi was it? Where? What was the place? What was the occasion? Was there a special puja, or was there something unique about that particular day? And where? What who were the people who were sitting? What was their background? When he introduced somebody for the first time, he will even give a small description about who that person was. Once that person is introduced, then he will not do it. So, similarly, all the people who, all the devotees who used to assemble in the presence of Sri Ramakrishna when the conversation was recorded, we get a fairly good idea. Plus, sometimes, very rarely, he never wanted to show that he is prominent in this conversation, except the first conversation, where first and second conversations, where Sri Ramakrishna admonishes him. After that, he keeps quiet. You must have noticed when he was talking about, he was inquiring about his wife and how many children he had and all those things. So there itself he understood that I have understood very little of spirituality. My knowledge of spirituality is academic and it is very much incomplete. And very humbly, from then onwards, you will find M has not argued with Sri Ramakrishna. Sometimes he asks questions. Sometimes he even hides that it is he who is asking question. He will use the other pseudonym, Mani or M, or simply he will use some other name, a devotee. Sometimes he has referred to himself as a devotee. He doesn't want to make people feel that he is the main person always present. He is hidden. He has completely hidden himself. That is why, if you see the gospel in the introduction, he says he has learned the art of projecting Sri Ramakrishna as the main actor in this whole drama, and all others, especially himself, he is completely in the background. That humility and that receptivity, that shows how receptive he was. After the first two incidents, as I said, he never argued. He himself says, from then onwards, M decided not to argue with Sri Ramakrishna. He had Sri Ramakrishna had destroyed all his ignorance, all his ego, and he himself writes that. That's the main reason why this gospel is unique, because he is very honest, especially when he is criticized. He could have easily omitted that portion because it shows him in very poor light. Master Mashe, when he told Sri Ramakrishna that his wife is ignorant, then Sri Ramakrishna said, and you are a Gyani. She is Agyani, but are you a Gyani? What do you understand by Jnana? That which gives you the knowledge of God alone is Jnana. Everything else is Ajnana. So why do you consider your wife to be an Ajnani? Are you a Jnani? So slowly, one after another, his ego is destroyed in the first two meetings itself. And then he decides, now let me just record whatever Sri Krishna says and whatever he tells others who have come with various questions. A variety of personalities, if you see. In that room, as Swami Vivekananda later said, कि I attended the Parliament of Religions much later, but my master's room, that is Sri Ramakrishna's room at Dakshineshwar itself, was a mini Parliament of Religions. Not only in Hindu religions or different sects, Vaishnavas used to come, Brahmos used to come. Everybody felt this is our place. Whereas if they had gone to their respective centers or respective places of worship, they would feel that we are Vaishnavas. Others are not welcome here. We are Brahmos. If people do not follow the Brahmo rules, they are not welcome here. If you go to a church, you will feel if you either have to be a follower or you are not fit to come to this place. So every place, every path had a uniqueness and everybody held on to their uniqueness. But Sri Krishna, if you see the gospel, it is very, very clear. When Brahmos came, they felt. Okay, a person like Keshav Chandra Sen himself came when they were not supposed to even discuss about form, God with form. He is listening to all the songs of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is singing, except for dancing when Sri Ramakrishna taunted him and said, why don't you say, he asked him to repeat uh, Bhakto Bhagavan Bhagavata. That was the last thing he wanted him. First, he made him repeat something. Then finally, when he said Bhakta Bhagavan and Bhagavata, he said, no, 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 not anymore, because then my whole movement will collapse. They will say I've got converted. So, fun apart, if you see, everybody who came, whether he believed or whether he was universal or not in his private practice, when it came to Sri Ramakrishna, somehow he felt that he belongs to this place. And there was a place for him. A Brahmo also felt there was a place for him here. Vaishnavas felt equally comfortable. Christians felt comfortable. Muslims who came, some of them who came, they also felt very comfortable. They felt that their faith in their own religion. The Sikhs who used to work in the factory nearby, ammunition factory, they used to come in large numbers. And they literally saw their gurus in Sri Ramakrishna, the 10 gurus whom they revered so much. So naturally they felt that we have come to a place where our mm, our faith gets strengthened. So that is not only during Sri Ramakrishna's time, but after his passing away, after his Mahasamadhi, you find wherever the gospel is read, you get that idea. And if that idea doesn't come, that is because we have not properly understood the gospel, or perhaps we have not read it as a complementary book to the great master. That's the reason I'm saying, because many times when we read the gospel, if we had read the great master simultaneously, many things become very clear. Because most of the quotes or most of the examples that Master Swami Sharadanand is giving in Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, he has taken from the gospel because it is very authentic. And not only that, there are many things more than what we get in the gospel, which we will find in the great master, because either one of the direct disciples or Shardananji himself has heard it from Sri Ramakrishna's own mouth. He was very careful, even if Hriday said something or anybody who was with Sri Ramakrishna before they came, before the direct disciples came, if they said something, he would obviously cross verify it with others. Cross verify and find out if somebody else has heard Thakur saying the same thing. Because there were some people, of course, Hriday was a very close to Sri Ramakrishna, but he could not be trusted sometimes because his focus was somewhere else. We know that's part of the divine play. Though he served and he was rewarded because of that, even the Hazra had a role to play. If you see, the conversation of Hazra has also been included by Pratap Chandra Hazra, who was used to sit and very often confuse people. He would be sitting near the gate, pretending to be a great saint when he had kept, I mean, his wife and the children were being looked after by his father-in-law. So Sri Ramakrishna once or twice said, how can you leave them there? It is your duty. You have married them. You have to serve them. You have to earn a living and not just come and waste your time. But Hajra was difficult to dislodge from there. And though Sri Ramakrishna tried, he allowed Hajra to stay and come and even to some extent confuse some of the people who came, because he felt it is the Divine Mother's play. So he did not protest. He in fact prayed. But you'll see all the conversations which Hajra had, or at least Sri Ramakrishna, he was rarely found. He thought he was so important that he would not sit at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, he used to say, Naren has more knowledge than than Sri Ramakrishna. He, and that was the opinion he created when devotees came. But still, you will find Sri Ramakrishna now and then referring to Hajra, what Hajra said to somebody who came and asked Sri Ramakrishna, and how he slowly corrects them without even hating Hajra. So you will find these characters also. And then there are people, and Sri Ramakrishna, without hurting them, you will see that is the greatness. Swami Vivekananda says he was so gentle, so kind, that he would read the situation, read the mind of the person, and would convey a point, any point that he wished to convey to that person indirectly without insulting him. Sometimes he used to make fun, but even that fun was harmless in the sense the listener got the message, but he didn't never felt that it was directed to him. Otherwise, if somebody snubbed, Sri Ramakrishna, he says, was so kind. Swami Vivekananda says he could had a wonderful capacity of lifting a person from where he was. He never wanted to show a person where he was and show him down or uh, uh, criticize him. He could hardly do that. He said, not a single word of criticism escaped from the lips of the master. And if you see the gospel, it is there. He might be telling something because he would not compromise with truth. That is also there. Just because he would not criticize others, without referring, he would somehow prove a point without being personally mentioning somebody. Sometimes, in very rare cases, without meaning harm, without any anger or something, he would point out, this is fallacious, what these people believe. It cannot be true. And so most of the cases, you will find Hajra being mentioned. He said the other day, Hajra said this, the other day, his own relative, some of his relatives used to say, and otherwise, the great Brahmo leader, he said it is all the visions of Sri Ramakrishna are hallucinations. So even that he mentions, and then he corrects their statements by saying if this is the case, if it was an hallucination, what is the difference between an hallucination and a real vision? So there is a mine of information, especially those who are sincere and want to understand spirituality, because very often we find that when a person is introduced for the first time, because of modern education, because of different cultures and different social media information, we are exposed to many things, especially a newcomer. So he likes one idea, he gets impressed, he follows that. Earlier, people had to go in search of religion. Now, the whole social media, the whole situation, this digital revolution, though it has benefited a lot, that is why we are able to discuss these things online. But at the same time, so much of information, uh, um, uh, all of which is not equally authentic, is to be found on the internet. So we need a guide. So we think we are wise, we can choose wisely, but our choice making is very limited. Let me assure you that our choice, if we make our own choices, our life can be very miserable. That is why when we quote only the first part of Swamiji's message, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. But the actual quote which Swamiji used is a much bigger quote. He says, उत्तिष्ठत जाग्रत्य जाग्रत prapya varan nibodhata. Varan means the great people, following these great people who have realized God, these avatar purushas, these great spiritual personalities, following their authentic footsteps. Following their authentic footsteps, you don't stop till your goal is reached. You have to have start with some basic faith. I want to know what spirituality is. So what do? I look for a authentic spiritual tradition. Now, what do you mean by authentic spiritual tradition? Is it so easy to find? Because there are so many things. Everybody claims that he or she is authentic. So as Sri Ramakrishna said, a tree is known by the fruits. A tree, the quality of the tree is known by the quality of the fruits. So you see, you have to make an evaluation. If persons like Vivekananda say that one glance or the dust of Sri Ramakrishna's feet can create 1000 Vivekanandas. Imagine, we admire him for his courage, we admire him for his fearlessness, we admire him for his uh, capacity to travel all over the world and convince and literally change the thought trends of so many people all over the world, America, Europe, and also in India. He practically created a thought revolution. Not only a thought revolution, a spiritual revolution. So that's why he's known as Yuganayaka. Imagine one such person, and he says, Swami Brahmananda and several other luminaries, spiritual luminaries, whose books itself can become the source of a great spiritual movement. But all of them, compared to Sri Ramakrishna, was like a bright sun, in Swamiji's words. He was like a bright sun, and we are all different rays. We are just rays. One ray is Vivekananda, another ray is Brahmananda or anybody. And all these different rays cannot express what the sun really is. So, the reading of the gospel will serve two purposes. One is to understand the message of Sri Ramakrishna. Second, understand its relevance to our life, which is more important. Because just appreciating Sri Ramakrishna is not enough. He may have done hundreds of things. Can we do at least one out of that hundred? That is more important. That is the takeaway. Every time we read the gospel, it's not repetition. In fact, Revered Swami Bhuteshananji's Kathamrit Prasanga, if you see, the first discussion is on repetition. Bhuteshanji Maharaj himself is asking a question. Many people say the Kathamrita is full of repetitions. Thakur, even Hriday told once, he told Mama, if you are repeating the same thing, the devotees will not come. He said, what is it to you, Salah? I will repeat 100 times the same thing if it is truth. So he gets angry on Rida and says, "Don't tell me what to say." So that Punaravritti, revered Maharaj, Bhuteshanji Maharaj has said that Punaravritti dosha means constant repetition is not valid in the case of scriptures like Kathamrita. In the Kathamrita Prasanga, he writes, you cannot accuse Sri Ramakrishna of being repetitive. In fact, repetition is necessary in spiritual life. If Sri Ramakrishna says the same thing again and again, same ideas or same advice to different people again and again. For example, Nirjanvas, it's mentioned more than 60 times, 67. Somebody has made a study. So nearly 70 times. Now, Sri Ramakrishna must have considered that to be a very important part of spiritual life. Otherwise, to a variety of people, the common advice is uh, love for solitude. That means make the mind calm. Then Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, which he insists upon. He said always be discriminative. Ask the question why. What is Nitya? What is Anitya? What is going to save me permanently? What is going to be temporary for a few days or a few months or a few years? So that Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. So that comes so many times. No matter who is the person who is asking the question, he is answering this. It is a repetition, but that repetition is sometimes necessary. Because when we read any page of the gospel, and that is the beauty of the gospel when we do satsanga, it's good to read according to a sequence. Nobody likes to read randomly. But even suppose somebody opens any page, you will find enough advice there which will satisfy some spiritual query of yours or ours. So we can get benefit by reading any page from uh, any chapter. That doesn't take away the beauty of the gospel. That is another beautiful thing. In Leela Prasang, perhaps you have to go according to the sequence because you have to read the Balya Leela, the Sadak Bhava of Sri Ramakrishna. Then we have the Guru Bhava Purvardha, who were the first devotees to come. Guru Bhava Uttarardha, how he trained the in Antaranga disciples before he left, before his Mahasamadhi, and what happened, the Narendranath and the last part of Divya Leela, we call it Divya Leela. All the glory that he exhibited before going, especially on Kalpataru Day in Kashipur, he said, when more and more people start coming, which started coming from the Guruba Purvarda, you will find. He used to go on the top of the koti and say, Kere Kuthaya Achish, where are the mother had promised him that so many devotees will come. And he did sadhana for almost half his life, or more than half his life was uh, passed in intense sadhana, in solitude, in Panchavati, in not speaking to people. He hated to see people. He went into a deep jungle, night, day, night. But the second part was totally different. Second or last few 10, 15 years of his life, if you see, it was full of Guru Bhav, means whatever he had earned by his sadhana, he wanted to distribute. He was overflowing, and the mother he goes to the top of the kuti and says, "Where are you? Mother has shown me. Please come." And then slowly they come, one after another. If you see the gospel, that deals only with the Guruva Purvarda and Uttararda. Not even Purvarda, not all. Many of the disciples who came before M came. So that was Thakur's wish. After M came, we have a complete record, or whatever we could record till his Mahasamadhi. We have most of the recordings or conversations which were recorded on the days when Master Mashe visited. You have to remember that. He could not visit like all householders. He was more busy than most of us. He was more busy because he was a principal and so many responsibilities and with lot of problems in his school and lot of problems, more problems at home. So don't think it was an ideal situation or it was easy for him to record. He did not go with a fresh and clear mind like many devotees who were lucky, like somebody like Balram's home. Sri Ramakrishna said, how many are lucky like Balram, where all the devotees, all the family members are devotees. Whereas that was not the case with M and with so many other people. They were opposing, some of them did not like the Master Mashe going to Sri Ramakrishna. And there were domestic problems, quarrels. Whereas he said only one or two lucky families he singled out. One was, he says, I like the pure food of Balram's house because here everybody is a devotee. But then he adds, if you see the gospel, he says, but how many are like, uh, how many families like Balram have been given the grace by the Divine Mother to be equally devoted to the ideal. So, in spite of these difficulties, you will find a variety of people coming with variety of questions, variety of desires, and how slowly, if you see the whole gospel, starting from the initial query of M, who is new, who is a Brahmo, and many Brahmos who are coming for the first time, M is realizing that spirituality is not what he uh, thought. It's not the Western philosophy that he read, not the uh, synthetic philosophy of Brahmo Samaj that is real spirituality. But Sri Ramakrishna, somehow he was lucky to come in touch with Sri Ramakrishna, which saved his life from committing suicide. Not only that, it changed his life and it changed the lives of millions of people, and it will continue to change the lives of millions of people because he understood, as any one of us, his situation, if it were to be good, then you would say, what credit can we give him? He didn't have to face the difficulties like we had. But he did. He did have problems. Maybe that is the reason why Sri Ramakrishna chose him. When Mahapurush Maharaj, who was already had the qualities of a monk, tried to record, Sri Ramakrishna saw it and told him, why are you doing this? I didn't ask you to do. So Mahapurush Maharaj immediately understood that Sri Ramakrishna does not want me to record his conversation. He immediately takes the diary and throws it into the Ganga. So, because they respected the Guru, Sri Ramakrishna had chosen. There should be a person, perhaps he has chosen M, to show that a person with all the difficulties that modern householders face, even more than what we face, problems at home, problems at school, problems at the workplace, problems with other devotees, so many issues he had to face. Criticism, many times he had to struggle, even to come to Thakur. But Thakur was very kind. Now and then you would see that the enthusiasm does not is kept alive. And he used to make, he one once said, can you not just leave your family and come? I'll make arrangements. You should come and do sadhana. But at the same time, he said, see, you're a householder. You should not take Rani Rasmani's cooked food. You bring your own provisions. I will make arrangement in a kutia, that is the hut which was isolated. Go and do sadhana there. Thakur made all the arrangements. He arranged for his staying. He had made arrangements for his nirjanvas, cooking. He wanted to give him a taste. So Master Mashe thought, see how much he is concerned about me. Same thing about Purna, was a householder, though he was an Ishwar Koti, the same category as the Niranjanananda, Premananda, and Brahmananda. There was one Purna Chandra Ghosh. And Sri Krishna, that was also recorded. And that recording of Master Mashe saved Purna Chandra Ghosh's life. He recorded in one place. Purna was very young, and fortunately, Master Masha recorded this conversation. He said, Purna, Master is very restless, that Purna cannot practice spirituality. He is not able to do sadhana. He has so many problems at home. So he is so much worried that he has uh, not realized God or not been able to call on God uh, as much as he should do. He is a wonderful Adhar. He is a very wonderful, mm, he has a wonderful spiritual capacity. But Thakur is worrying about him, about his family condition or whatever conditions he was facing. He was worried. So this is the small conversation that is part of the gospel. If you read the gospel, it will be there. Then, after that, after many years after Thakur's Mahasamadhi, you might be surprised to know he was just an ordinary householder outwardly. But Sri Ramakrishna could see his inside. He was a he was employed with some financial organization. He used to move to many places, towns, just like any other transferable person with transferable job. So one day the situation became so bad that he wanted to commit suicide and he almost took a decision. Imagine a Ishwar Koti is trying to commit suicide, not able to face the difficulties of life. So he goes and says, one last time I will do my upasana and then I will uh, commit this hard step. So he decides to go, and fortunately, he takes the gospel, which was already published. This is much after Sri Ramakrishna left his body, and after Master Mashe uh, wrote some of the, it may not be the 5 volumes, but something was published. And when he read, he just luckily, by Thakur's grace, he opened that page where Sri Ramakrishna, M has noted that today Sri Ramakrishna is very restless. He is upset because Purna cannot, he is worried about Purna. So then that immediately changed his mind. He said, see, here is an avatar, is a person who is concerned that I am not able to practice, do my spiritual practices, and I am in trouble. And after having so much concern for me, do you think he will uh, allow me to suffer? So that completely, that wonderful love of Sri Ramakrishna, which he expressed through the few conversations that I had recorded, completely changed his mind. He said, if I had faith till now, why am I losing faith? See, here Sri Ramakrishna is worried that I am not able to do sadhana. So that immediately changes his mind and then he drops that idea. So you see, gospel, it's not just something that can give you spiritual knowledge or instruction. It can practically save people's lives if it is read with that kind of spirit, that kind of faith. That is the beauty of gospel, that it is not a book to be just read like any other shastra or any other book which we read casually for academic purposes. This is a book which is to be read with reverence, faith. That is why most of the Patha Chakras, they choose this gospel. First, because of its practical value. Second, most important thing is, especially for devotees, initiated devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, is that it gives Sri Ramakrishna's immediate satsang. The first, we begin with the two hymns which we did today, Khandana Bhava Bandhana, and then seek blessings, the Sarva Mangala Mangalya, which Sri Ramakrishna himself uttered when he gave all his the fruits of his sadhana at the feet of Holy Mother, Shodashi Puja. This was the hymn he chanted. So this is also a very significant hymn with which we conclude our prayer. So this two hymns plus Sarva Mangala plus the reading of gospel, that is the bare minimum one has to do. And the more we do, it is an extension of the arti that we do. Arti, of course, is something which we have to meditate upon. The if time permits, I have a desire to just go through these two hymns so that the meaning, though we know the meaning, its significance in the light of life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, if we understand, because these are the primary hymns. You go any part of chakra, anywhere in the world, any part, any country in the world, this Khandana is repeated, thanks to Swamiji's two great compositions. So definitely it has immense significance, as significant as the Kathamrita. So if we understand the meaning, if we that is why in some centers I used to feel How can a Spanish person, even though he's singing in Bengali and Sanskrit, both are in a language which they don't understand. They don't may not understand what Khandana is, what Bhava is, what Bandhana is. So it's just music enough, just because it is sung in a proper tune with the piano and big instruments. But after that, I saw in many of our centers, they read the translation. Better still, they sing the translation, which is difficult, of course, to match the rhyme. So, our Swami Tripuranji in our center, he introduced, he said, can we not just have the meaning? Not that he says, I may know the meaning, but when the singing is going on, the meaning immediately does not strike me because I am not familiar with Bengali or Sanskrit. So he said, can we not just read? So there is a beautiful English version made by Swami Prabhavananda and Christopher Isherwood. It's in poetry form. It's not a literal translation, but it is a bhavartha. Gives the essence of breaker of the world's bondages and all those things very nicely. And Tapasyananji's book is there, published from Madras Mutt. Recently, I saw a wonderful book which has been just recently published by Swami Chidananda's name, Swami Chidananji, when he was in Chicago. And during his whole Bangalore days, also earlier, he used to select some hymns that is about Thakur, Prakritim Paramam, and there are other compositions on which we sing on special days. All that, plus some on Ganesha, some on the important uh, chantings that we do, Saraswati, some hymns on Saraswati. All that, the hymns have been given with the translation on the adjacent page. So when we chant, a little effort will help us if we know the meaning of what we chant. To sing it in a proper tune is very important, but at the same time, the meaning is necessary. So also the songs in the gospel. You see, thanks to some of the poets like John Moffat Jr. and Woodrow Wilson, President Woodrow Wilson's daughter, Mrs. Wilson translated the Bengali. Of course, Prabhavanji helped them, and it is so beautifully, not Prabhavanji, Nikhilanji. So they helped the beautiful songs which Thakur used to sing or others used to sing in Thakur's presence. Those who don't know Bengali, at least you find it in a beautiful English, the same poems. But it will definitely not be as good as the original. So those who can read Bengali, it is always better to read the Kathamrita in the original language. But even otherwise, if there are people do not understand Bengali, there are enough translations, so many translations, literal translations, including the songs, where you will get what Sri Ramakrishna, the message of Sri Ramakrishna. So uh, I'm very happy that we could uh, gather together, at least online. Having come all the way, I was feeling so sad that I could not meet all of you, especially those who are in Aberdeen. There may be many who are, anyway, they listen to the Great Master and Gospel every alternate Saturday and Sunday. But today it was a nice opportunity. So even in spite of the snow and other things, thanks to this online facility, we are able to discuss a few important aspects. Now we have to make a working plan. As I said, there can be a Patachakra in every house. It doesn't always have to meet in somebody's house. That is good if you can meet once in a month or once in a fortnight or even once in a week if it is possible. But otherwise, this holy company you can get instantly of Thakur. Wherever the gospel is read, Thakur is present there. He has to be present because the conversations are about him, the ideas are about him. And if you complement it with Great Master, though it is a little tough as compared to the gospel, but it is worth going through once in alternate weekends or alternate classes. So if there are some questions you can ask, otherwise we'll close. Hmm? We have time? Yeah, it's almost, yeah, 7:30. We started at, oh, somebody has raised the hand. Yes. Who is that? Deepa? No. Wait, I'll just have to allow you to. Yes, you can unmute. Those who are asking question, want to ask questions, can unmute and ask. I may not be able to see them, but even otherwise, you can just ask the question. Yes. Dia has raised the hand. Please ask.
Good evening, Maharaj. Thank you very much for this very insightful evening, actually. Yeah, I think the video is locked, so I'm not able to.
No,
Yeah, just.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Please carry on. I can hear you very clearly. Hmm.
Okay, okay, okay. Will you share the PDF of the Great Master? Because I've started reading the
Yes,
Kathamrita
yes.
and want to read that as well.
Are you in any of the groups here in Scotland?
Yes, yes, yes,
So I
yes.
will share in that group or give it to Shantanu, he will share it. So
Okay, okay,
PDF
okay.
is good enough to begin with. Huh? You can download it also, but I will share it.
Okay, okay, that will be great. Thank you very much. And thank you once again because of the, I really wanted to visit today, but
No,
our
no, it's
car
okay.
got
That
stuck
is why
in the
we did it
morning.
online. No, no, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Okay,
Have
okay.
a
Thank
safe
you,
return.
Maharaj.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Deepa is asking some question. I'll unmute 1 minute. You can unmute yourself. Anybody can unmute themselves. Who- Are you not able to unmute? Deepa.
Ah, Swamiji, it's okay.
Yes.
Thank you. If you can share the book as well, the PDF, that
Yes, yes.
would be helpful. Thank you.
You are also in the Scotland group?
No.
Okay. Then how do I share with you?
Um,
Are you
well,
in one of the WhatsApp groups
the
of the
WhatsApp
Vedanta
group,
Center?
Swamiji, WhatsApp one.
Vedanta Center?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
share. I'll share. Okay. Anyone? Can just raise your hands if somebody wants to ask. I'm sorry, I have not switched on the video because the whole screen will be crowded because we are online on
Mm.
YouTube as well. So,
Can you hear me, Maharaj? Pranams?
Sharon, yes, yes.
Yes. It's a question about the Bhairavi Brahmani
Mm,
in the Great Master.
okay.
How was it that such a woman was given the opportunity to study, learn all those extraordinary spiritual practices, and also to just roam so freely as she's described,
Yes,
a
yes.
beautiful woman. Is it recorded anywhere, that kind of woman, as
Her
rare as she
biography,
was?
unfortunately, there's not much known about her. But
Uh,
Gauri Ma, if you see, was her contemporary. In fact, Gauri Ma was
uh,
at a much later age. But
mm,
you see the difficulty she faced. She had to run away from her home, cover her
mm,
face. Her face was also very beautiful. It was so risky. She used to disguise as a man because it was so difficult for women to wear
mm,
geruva and roam around. It's not as easy as men could do
mm,
it. So no doubt
sure.
it was difficult. But it's a wrong idea that women were not allowed to study. No doubt the
Mm,
common man or a common woman of a household was somehow, for some centuries in India, because of the Mughal influence, I think, were
mm,
not allowed. But the British
mm,
government did not prevent them from reading. In fact, they encouraged later
mm,
on. But if you are talking of the earlier ages, Vedic age, there were Gargi, Maitreyi, there are so many great women saints. So it's
yes.
not surprising that Bhairavi Brahmani could study all the Vaishnava scriptures, all the tantras, and be a guide. Exactly that is the reason why Swami Vivekananda says to show to the world that spirituality is not the exclusive privilege of a man, of
Mm.
a of men, and women are equally capable. He says two
Mm.
major incidents or two major things happened in Sri Ramakrishna's life. One is acceptance of a woman as a guru, which
Mm.
no previous incarnation or no previous saint has ever done. It was the first
Mm.
time in the history of a avatara like Sri Ramakrishna where a woman becomes a guru. Not just Vaishnava sadhana, she teaches so many 64 tantras. So
Mm.
imagine scholarship, which was
Yeah.
much more than all the men gurus he had, including
Mm.
Totapuri. So it was not very uncommon, though of course it was not very common also because for several hundred years women were forced to not to go to school and stay behind the parda. Some of the cultures, other cultures, they impose certain restrictions on women. We cannot blame Muslims alone. Our own society could have given more opportunities to women. But in spite
Mm.
of that, India did produce great women. Mirabai was there. There were so many in the south, uh,
Mm.
Andal, and there are so many great Shaivite saints. Maharashtra, you will find so many Janabai and so many.
Mm.
We don't know I mean, if you study the history, Women Saints of India, there is a nice
Mm.
book published by Institute of Culture. You will find so many were there. Only
Mm.
thing they were not given the prominence that the men saints had,
Mm.
except for Mirabai and some others. But India always gave opportunities, equal opportunities to all. But for
Mm.
some, as I said, some centuries they were denied. Yeah.
But
And
we could
it was not difficult
assume.
because she was very powerful. If you have seen,
Mm.
when you have spiritual power, it doesn't matter whether you are a man or woman.
Mm.
Even Gaurima and all, they were very strong people. Even
Mm.
Holy Mother, apparently she did not show her strength outside. But
Mm.
you just imagine how much strength she would have had to look after the whole household, the Ramakrishna order, the
Mm.
innumerable devotees, crazy people, good people, initiated people in thousands. So
Mm.
that capacity is there. What is there if
Mm.
one is a woman?
Mm. But one could assume, Maharaj, is it that the Bhairavi was born of Brahmin, high class caste family?
Not,
No?
not necessary. Not
No.
necessary.
Yeah,
Many
sure.
of the women, we do not know. I'll have to do some
Mm.
research to find out. But
Oh,
it hardly matters. You see, these
ah,
caste things don't come into the equation at all. How
but it was.
all who were so Thakur's disciples, how many were Brahmins?
Mm.
All
But it.
many of the
Mm.
great direct Brahmananda himself was not born as a Brahmin, but he
Mm.
was he less than any Brahmin.
Mm.
Only a few disciples were. So it's not necessary that because they are born in a Brahmin family, they would get all the
Mm.
opportunities to study.
Ah,
Non-Brahmins also got. So
yeah.
many I can show you. All these Marathi saints hmm, and
Mm.
all the saints of South India, if you see, they purely through devotion because spirituality does not look at scholarship first. Second, does not
Mm.
look at your that is academic achievements or does not look at your caste.
Mm.
Devotion can make any person
Mm.
wise.
Yes.
So when we talk
So.
of spirituality, learning doesn't have a role in that. And three things he came to show, according to Swami Vivekananda. That's why we have to read. The essence of great master, actually, Swami Shardananji took Swamiji's small writing on Hinduism and Sri Ramakrishna, and then he says that inspired me to write all the 5 volumes of Great Master. So in that
Mm.
he writes three things were very special about Ramakrishna incarnation. First,
Mm.
he discarded all forms of external learning. Not he could have easily gone to school like his elder brother, and they went to school. They went to toll. They all studied. All of them were qualified priests. They were not just uh, ritualistic priests. They could read the horoscope, they could do many things. So they had good education, the traditional education. But Sri
mm,
Krishna wanted to show, this is Swami Vivekananda's view, that to show the world that academic learning has absolutely nothing to do with spiritual growth.
mm,
Otherwise, people will lose faith. They will think one has to read Shastras, as Master Mahasaya first asked, uh,
mm,
does he read books? I mean, he thought
mm,
if Sri Ramakrishna read books, he would be a great saint. If he has not read books, that was the idea even of educated Indians. So,
mm,
first thing he came to show is that learning has nothing to do with spiritual attainment. One.
mm,
Second, that a woman can become, that spirituality is not the exclusive privilege of men, and women can access and can do equally well as men in spiritual matters. So that was the second thing he came to establish, and that is why he says two things he did which no incarnation did. One is worship his own wife, placing her on the pedestal of the mother, and second,
mm,
accepting a woman as a guru. These are Swamiji's words, not mine. This is
mm,
the second thing he came to show. And the third important thing he came to show is that um, you can follow any path. That is Jotomat Totopat. And there are as many paths, as many faiths, so many paths. So these are the three main things. Of course, there are other things like renunciation of lust and gold, which according to Holy Mother was the main thing. It's the background or the main core idea of all spiritual movements. This renunciation of wealth and gold. Gold means wealth and uh, this lust and gold.
mm.
So these are the four or five things based on which the great master was written. Okay, so
Yeah, thank
one
you.
of them is a very important thing that women should get equal chances. Though in those days historically they were not given, but Swamiji's dream came true. That's why he wanted a woman's mutt, completely
Mm,
independent of men, who can become gurus of mankind. Yeah,
mm.
that was not
Oh,
there. It's not there in other traditions. Don't think it is only in India. Show me
mm,
where, which holy religious order has women as gurus. Very few in the world. The
mm,
Roman, that is, Roman Catholics or Christianity is there for so many centuries now.
mm.
Can you imagine if somebody becoming a pope? Or
No.
somebody becoming the head
Mm,
of a mosque, a woman becoming
mm,
a, if they can't do it, don't think it is just India that was not kind to women. India, in fact,
mm,
is the most, it was most liberal in the
mm,
Vedic age and even after.
mm.
And Sri Ramakrishna came to revive that, to give
Yes.
women their rightful place in the spiritual hierarchy.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Pranams. Thank you.
So shall we conclude now? Yes, if there are no more questions, no more people have raised their hands, so we conclude now. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanastu.